When people later spoke of Aaron Dev, they spoke of the summit photograph, the one where he stood above the clouds, ice crystals on his beard, the world unfolding beneath him. But Aaron never told the story that way. He always said, "I didn't conquer the mountain. I climbed one step, and then another." Aaron was born in a small village cradled by the Himalayas. The mountains weren't a dream there. They were a horizon. As a child, he'd stare at the highest peak, the one that pierced the sky like a silent challenge. His grandfather once told him, "The mountain doesn't stop you. It just asks how badly you want to take the next step." Those words settled deep inside him. At 16, Aaron decided he would climb it. The village laughed gently. "You're too small," one person said. "You have no money," said another. He didn't argue. He just went home and wrote in a worn notebook, climbed step by step. He started training, not for the summit, but for the next step. He woke before dawn, ran with a pack of stones, and saved every rupee he earned. Years later, he stood at base camp with a small team. The mountain was brutal up close. A sudden storm hit them, and they were forced to turn back. Aaron felt something collapse inside him, back in the village. He opened his notebook and wrote. Today's step was backward. It is still a step. He didn't rush. Back instead. He apprenticed under an old Sherpa guide named Dorj. Dorj taught him what books couldn't. He taught him to listen to the snow, to read the clouds, and to rest before exhaustion. The summit is optional, Dorj would say. Descent is mandatory. Aaron learned that climbing wasn't about ambition. It was about presence. Step, breathe, plant the axe, shift weight. Step, 5 years later. Aaron returned to the mountain. This time, the plan was slower, more deliberate. They faced high winds and a treacherous ice fall. Another team rushed ahead and barely escaped an avalanche. Aaron waited. He remembered Dorj's voice. With attention, they moved slowly, cautiously. Each step confirmed. It took them to extra days. But they reached the next camp safely, the night before the summit push. Doubt crept in. What if this all leads to another retreat? He looked out at the stars and realized he wasn't afraid of failing. He was afraid of reaching the top and discovering nothing had changed. He closed his eyes and focused on the only thing that mattered. The next step, they started there. Final ascent in the dark, cold bit through their layers. Hours passed in a slow, rhythmic repetition. Step. Breathe, plant the axe. Step. The sun began to rise, spilling gold across the distant peaks. And then, without fanfare, without revelation, there was no higher ground. He was there. He had made it. On the summit. The world looked fragile. Rivers were silver threads. Borders were meaningless. Tears came to his eyes, not of triumph, but of clarity. The summit hadn't changed him. The steps had. The early mornings, the failed attempt, the patience, the humility. The mountain had never been an enemy. It had been a teacher. Its lesson was simple. Great heights aren't conquered in leaps. They are earned in increments. When he returned to his village, people cheered. Someone asked, "How did you feel standing above the world?" Aaron smiled. "I wasn't above it," he said. "I was exactly where my last step had taken me." Years later, Aaron became a guide. When young climbers came to him, burning with ambition, he would point to a small hill. "Climb that," he'd say. "But that's not the mountain." They would protest. He would nod. "No, but it is the next step." Aaron understood that the mountain is different for everyone. For some, it's ice and rock. For others, it's grief, illness, or fear. But the method is always the same. You don't conquer it in a day. You don't defeat it with speed. You climb it step by step. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.